Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Wellness Junction podcast. My name is Jordanna, and listen, I am never not honored that you choose to spend this time with me. It means so much to me that you set out time while you are busy doing the activities in your life to give a listen to this podcast. I truly, deeply appreciate it. Quality time is probably the top ranking of the 5 love languages for me. So I truly do appreciate the time that you set aside to listen to me, have this conversation with me. I hope that these conversations are enriching and that they contribute to your life in one way or another. Today on this podcast, first of all, I will start with an apology because when I started this podcast, I basically just went full on and started producing episode without as much as an introduction to who I am, who is this person, who is making this podcast. So please receive my apologies, and I am here to make good on my apology and bring to you an About Me episode. So this will just be like a brief, will it be brief? Who knows? But to bring you an episode where I tell you a bit more about myself, rather than it being a Q&A, question and answer episode, I decided to frame it as a Q4R, questions for reflection. If you ask me a question, most of the people who are my friends, or if you talk to me for all of 5 minutes, you will know that I can take one question and go on with it for 10 to 20 minutes when it should have been a yes or no answer, because in my head there does not exist such a thing as a yes or no question, unless really it's a yes or no question. Is it ever though? I don't really think so. Do you see what I did there? That's what I'm talking about. I will answer some random questions that I got off of the internet, and a few questions that I asked ChatGPT to ask me for this episode specifically. And so I hope that as I answer these questions for reflection, that it will be a reflection for both of us, that you will pause here and there to maybe just reflect on these questions, what they mean for you, because they are not the usual, what's your pet? Cats or dogs? What is your favorite color? Leave it to me to take a simple question as what is your favorite color and spin it to a whole conversation about why the universe is the way it is. That's just the kind of person I am, and I thought that it is valuable for both of us, for you to get into my mind and see how I think, so that as we go on with this podcast and hear me mention some things that might sound a bit unhinged, that where I'm coming from, who you're dealing with. So thank you so much for being here, and without further ado, let's just get into it, guys. Hello, I am Jordanna, and this is the Wellness Junction podcast, where we explore experiences with mental and reproductive health issues among young people. This is a space where young people feel heard, understood, and supported. Join us for open, honest, and intergenerational conversations that empower young people to make informed choices that support their general wellness. So we're just going to go ahead and get the simple questions out of the way. My name is Jordanna Dede. I grew up in a small village called Soko Village in Bungoma. I have an elder brother and 3 younger sisters. I currently am in Meru as we speak. I dabble in between Meru and Kisumu. What is your favorite color and your favorite food? I do not have a favorite color or a favorite food. It goes with the season and like where I currently am at. So currently the foods that I am appreciating, or the kind of food I'm appreciating, is wraps and sandwiches. Like basically something sandwiched between something. Yeah, that's the kind of food I'm appreciating. So wraps, sandwiches, a bit of burgers. Burgers are not my favorite things to eat because just the layers. They make my life difficult. I don't appreciate that. Same goes with color. I do not have a specific color that is my favorite. Right now, I am really appreciating purples, the different shades of purples. But I'm also really appreciating greens, but combined with a burnt orange and a brownish. Yeah, that's where I am at. And with some, like a hint of blues in there as well. So those are the main colors I'm appreciating right now. If that does not make any sense, then you get the reason why I can't just answer what's your favorite color and go off with that. So there you go. As I promised, there's really no straight answer for anything. Yeah. What is your most memorable childhood memory? As awkward and as weird as this is going to sound, so as a child, I really did like to keep to myself, or rather, I found a lot of safety in when I was with myself. So my most memorable memory, and it's imprinted in my head, is I remember this time I was playing bladder. For anyone who does not understand what bladder is, I am so sorry I can't explain it to you in a way that makes sense. But I will find a video and post it on our social media. The memory I have is, because, as I have said, I liked to keep to myself. There were 2 trees in our home compound that were really close to each other. So I would tie, so instead of using like bladder, I used, there's this type of grass that stretches out into like strings. So we used to tie them together and use those to play, not bladder, but like skipping rope. So I used to use that and tie it a bit around the 2 trees and then play with bladder with those 2 as myself. It almost sounds very sad. But trust me, it was not. I really did find a lot of joy and happiness in doing that all by myself. There's times when I would even try to play skipping rope by myself. Like, it really just did make me so happy to do those things by myself, because I felt safe and just happy doing those things by myself. So that's one of my memorable experiences from childhood. There's times when my grandma would send me to do something like in the bedroom or in the store, and I would go off and find like a book or a magazine or something to read, or something that would distract me. And then I would be gone for 30 minutes, something that should have taken me 10 or so minutes. And I would be gone for like a whole hour. And then I would remember, oh my goodness, I was sent to get this. And I think over time, even she would say, if you send this one, she got lost, she would be like, she got lost reading something or perusing through something. Just those moments of being with myself are like some of my most memorable memories from childhood. And even as I speak, I can literally feel can I say euphoria? Like just the sense of happiness. I don't know if I can say happiness, but like just a good feeling of being with myself. And that has pretty much followed me into adulthood. What did you believe about yourself before the world had a say? First of all, that's a good one. What did I believe about myself before the world has a say? Okay, I'm just going to mention this like anecdote stroke story from my childhood. I remember this time, I think I was in class 2 or class 3. We were in an English class and we were doing crossword puzzles. So you see the way they usually like list for you the words that you need to find in the puzzle. So we had crossed out every word that from the list that was given. And then the teacher said, is there any other word that you can see that is not on the list, but it is an English word? And for me, like I usually remember that moment specifically because I really just shot up my hand into the air and I told the teacher a word that was not even an English word, But I did not have concern in my head for whether this was a right answer or a wrong answer. For me, it was just, it is something I found and I wanted the whole class to know. It really didn't even matter to me. And I can't even remember the specific word I said. And so the teacher corrected me and he said, okay, that's not really an English word, but there is this other word that is close to it. So the word was MIST, but then the word I had found was MEAST. So the teacher was like, okay, so mist, that kind of mist is maybe not an English word, but then there's this other word. It's not in the crossword puzzle, but it is an English word. And the reason why that I tell that story to answer this question is because I always look back to that class 2 or class 3 Jordanna, the way I shot my hand into the air and I did not care whether the answer was wrong or not. It was just something that had come into my mind and I wanted to say it, put it out there. And over time, I felt like I lost that sense of just saying something that's on my mind or shooting my hand in the air to give a question whether it's wrong or not. Over time, I started really, it's like a between then and I don't know, something happened in between then and then there was this critic in my head and I needed to sieve answers before I could give them. Even right now, I would really hesitate before I shoot my hand into the air and give an answer, even when I know that the answer is right. And so there's just like this dissonance between who I was back then and who I have, how certain experiences have shaped me or how I have listened to other voices. And yeah, so I think who I was before the world had a say or before someone had a say or people had a say in, I think I was just like very fearless and very brave. And my life right now feels like a journey back to that kind of bravery where I shot my shot, made a move without having the complete knowledge of whether or not this is the correct way to go. If I have an idea, I just go on ahead and do it. Of course, proper planning, thinking things through. The world right now is, my world right now is no longer the class 3 girl where I can just do things randomly. But to have that sense of carefreeness, freedom, almost impulsivity and just like a wildness to myself. Yeah, I think that paints a really good picture. At the rate at which I am going, I don't know, I have a list of around 20 questions. I most likely won't go through them. I'll probably go through 10, but they will be worth your while. I can say that for sure. This is an easy one. What are your pet peeves? Number 1, and maybe top of the mind, it is, you see when like a soap dish has not been washed for a while and there's like soap that has accumulated on the soap dish. I don't like seeing that. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. The other thing, and this is somewhat maybe controversial, I don't like renditions to songs. I said it, and if you do not agree, that's fine. Especially if the rendition adds like more pomp and flavor to a song. Of course, it's creative freedom. People can do whatever they want, but most of the time I prefer the original version of a song. It does not apply to all songs, but I think it applies to like maybe 85%, and I think that qualifies as a pet peeve. What is the first item on your bucket list? That is so specific, and yet I feel like there's no specific answer for that. I feel like there's different areas in my life where I have bucket lists, but let me just say something right now, currently in this season. For now, a bucket list. Actually, I'm going to say something that relates to this podcast. One of the things that I really want to do for this podcast is maybe for a season or even just for one episode to have a child co-host. That would make me so happy. I feel like I even have an idea of who I like, the child I want to co-host this with. But oh my goodness, that is really something I want to do. In 2022, I did teach Sunday school as part of an internship at a church. It was one of my roles. And I really did love interacting with kids. And so I really would like to have a group of kids to just do this podcast, like the Wellness Junction podcast, but like in the eyes of kids. That would make me so happy. You can even hear it from my voice. It will make me so happy. Do you have a tattoo? Not yet. Not yet. I do not yet have a tattoo. I have really wanted to get one. I can't just get myself to actually make the decision, but it will happen at some point in my life. If I were to get a tattoo, though, the idea that I'll probably never execute for a tattoo is to have like for the entire of my back, to have a phoenix drawn on the entire of my back, like a huge rising from the flames, rising from the ashes, like a huge phoenix, like surrounded with flames, that kind of thing. But I would never do that because as it is, I really have a low threshold for physical pain. So that's not something I'm ever going to do, because even if I were to do it in stages, I'd probably spread it within, I don't know, like 10, 20 years. But even then, I wouldn't. So I'll probably just resolve to a small butterfly somewhere on my hands. We'll see how that goes. Should I ever get a tattoo? You guys will probably be I don't say the first ones to know. You probably won't, but maybe the third. Okay. Do you prefer the city or the country? I was raised up in the village, and I think that really did influence my love for the country. So country over city anytime. But I love proximity to a city. As I have said, I dabble between Kisumu and Meru. Meru is a small town. I think I'm allowed to say that. Meru is a small town. Kisumu is a small city. I said it. Kisumu is a small city. It's not bustling and busy and fast-paced. It's very small, very quiet. At least I consider it to be that. It's part of why it's so far my favorite places to stay at. Those are my thoughts on city or country. Ideally, I would love to live in a small city like Kisumu, or a countryside place that has very quick access to a city, because I make trips every now and then to Nairobi, and I love me some of that, especially arriving in the city. It's like 5:30 a.m. I've just arrived, because most of the time I take an overnight bus, and it's 5:30 arrive in the city, and there is a place that is open for me to have breakfast. I definitely love me some of that, and I love the rush, hustle, bustle of the city for like once in 3 months, and then I'm out of there. That every day of my life is not my cup of tea. Speaking about tea or coffee, tea any time of the day. I have tried to experiment with a love for coffee and see if that's something I would be into, but I have not succeeded. Coffee has refused to grow on me. I have tried lattes, mochas, macchiatos, espressos, americanos, all of that. It just does not grow on me. So I have experimented and found out tea is the way for me to go. And right now, I am really enjoying flavored tea. Yeah. The mango, really love that. How long was your longest relationships? Let's see. That was from October to the December of the following year. So 15 months. That was the longest time I ever had a romantic relationship. When was the last time you cried? Probably in the same relationship. No, that was ages ago. I have cried a lot since then. When was the last time I cried? We're in April. Have I cried, like really cried this April? I think I have. I can't remember what was making me cry, but I can remember crying recently. So it was sometime probably last week, but in the course of this month, basically. How many pairs of shoes do you own? I think I currently have 6 pairs of shoes, if sandals count as shoes. So I have 6. What was your favorite subject in high school? English. Specifically, I did not care for poetry. I did not care for grammar. I did not care for comprehensive passages, but even oral literature was not that much of my jam. But written literature, set books, if I could go back in high school, I would want to be doing English lessons were my favorite, especially when we were reading set books. The going back and forth, discussing topics and ideas and what is not. The arguing back and forth with the teacher as though I am the one who wrote the book. Oh my goodness. I can literally feel the excitement in my bones as I say it. It was my favorite. Also, Form 3 and Form 4 physics. I really loved it. Form 3 and I think Form 4, the one that has electricity. I loved that. Okay, when did you first try to reinvent yourself using a new hairstyle or a hoodie? 2022, a new hairstyle. I had been thinking about cutting my hair for the longest time. But for some reason, I just couldn't get myself to go through with it. It's because I really thought about how I was going to be perceived, especially by my mom. I've never even shared this, but my hair had been a point of contention between me and my mom because I would come back from school and my hair would be terrible. And then at some point I did cut my hair without notifying her. She was really upset because at that point, I think I was really going through it. I had cut down weight and then I cut my hair. So she really did feel like it was a reflection of her not being able to take care of me as well as she would have wanted to. And I was like, sorry. Had to do what I had to do. But in 2022, I walked into a barber's shop. Initially, when I cut my hair, it wasn't that. For some reason, it wasn't that big of a deal. I think it was in 2018. And then my hair grew back. Nikaanza kusuka. But in 2022, around December, I walked into a barber's shop. And I cut my hair. And I think for me, that was just me reclaiming my freedom of sorts. I remember telling myself, I could do this and then I'll look terrible. But my hair grows back real quick. Hair does always grow back. And I told myself, it will grow back. And so I'll have all of 2 or 3 months to look ugly. And that will be it. So then I just went on ahead with it. And then I walked in and I had my hair cut. And it actually was not that bad. And actually, my mom actually loved it. So it turns out I just had fears for, not for nothing because of the previous conversations that had happened. But turns out there was really not that much to fear. And then after I did it, I was just like, my goodness. Some of the decisions that I put off of making because I think they'll... because I think they will have a perceived consequence. There are decisions that definitely have high stakes and you should really contemplate before making them. But there are decisions like cutting hair. If you really want to do that, just go on ahead and cut it. Or if you want to braid it out, or if you want to do something with it, hair grows back. It actually does grow back. It's not that big of a deal. It's just hair. And many other decisions that have really small stakes, but we usually think that they have high stakes because we have a perceived consequence to them, as I have mentioned, or because sometimes it's not even a perceived consequence, but we think of how people will think about us. Listen, you probably will cut your hair and your best friend will think you look ugly. There is no security for what people are going to think. But the thing is, our security is not in the fact that people do not care about the decisions that we make. I think our security is in the fact that people can have the thoughts that we think they will, and it's not going to be the worst thing that happens. It really is not going to be the worst that happens. So let's go on to the next question. Who taught you to love yourself? And who made it confusing? Who taught me to love myself? Who taught me to love myself? Guys, I literally, for a person who really loves to yap and usually has answers to a lot of things, I really do not have an answer for who taught me to love myself. I think it's something I have had to learn by myself, honestly, because the way I have interpreted messages in my head for the longest time is that I am not loved and hence I am not worth loving and I'm not I can't be an object of love. People definitely have had a contribution on me learning to love myself. Comments that people have made here and there about some of my skills, my abilities, or about me. But I think over time it has been, even as recently as yesterday, looking into the mirror and learning to love parts of myself that I have initially had such contention with. So who has taught me to love myself? I do not have a clear answer for that, except that I have had to learn to love myself from me. And okay, if you're on a deserted island, what 3 things would you want with you? Number 1, a functional helicopter to get me the hell out of that deserted island, because what am I doing on a deserted island? Number 2, a pilot to drive that helicopter. And number 3, water for the journey as I get out of that island. Probably not what you were expecting, but yep, those are the 3 things I would want on a deserted island. Where do you go in your head when the real world isn't it? Where do I go in my head when the real world just doesn't feel like it? I think I would rephrase that as, what does an imaginary world in my head look like? Honestly, I don't feel like I have an answer for that. I go to very many different places in my head. But I think one thing that I'm always, part of the, how do I put it? Part of the ingredients of a good imaginary place to go to is usually a world in which I am fully accepted. That is a place I would like to go to. Otherwise, I really honestly do not know how to answer. Where did I first feel safe enough to be weird? You remember that story that I have told about playing games by myself that technically should be among people? The places I think I retrieve, and even to this place, I retrieve into alone spaces to feel the absolute safety to be weird. And even now, staying all by myself, I feel like that is when I can be all the shades of weird that I want to be. Randomly just being on my phone at 3 a.m. and then waking up and realizing, oh, I could clean my house at this point in time. Why not? Cleaning at 3 a.m. to dancing in my house. You don't want to see me dance. I have to do that in private because it's something of a horror scene when I dance. Staging mock interviews. What else do I do? And many other weird things. So where did I go? Where, and to this day, where do I go? A place where I feel like no one is watching, honestly. Or just, even if it's in front of a camera, but when I am all by myself. Oh, my goodness. Such a place of safety. But also, I get lost in music. Yeah. It usually feels like a really safe place when I'm listening to songs that I love. Yeah. Final question, and then I'll probably throw in a few things here and there for questions that weren't asked, but it's almost a criminal to leave them out. Okay. If you could have advice for your 10-year-old self, what would you say? I really would not have any advice for my 10-year-old self. I don't think my 10-year-old self would have appreciated advice as much as she would have appreciated the presence of someone that she felt was really safe to be around, especially an older person that she felt she could be safe around a person that she felt would see her, understand her, comfort her when she was hurting, I really would not have advice. I would just want to be present for her, hold her when she cries, laugh with her, maybe throw in a bit of advice, but not anything specific. She would appreciate a presence more than any words of advice would ever give. If my voice has been sounding a bit off, it's been cold, so that must have affected my vocal cords. As we wind this down, one or two other things that I would love for you to know about me is my appreciation for music. I have a huge appreciation for music. I probably should have put this question together with what's my favorite food and color, because the answer is almost the same. But for music, it's slightly different. The two kinds of music that I know I appreciate day in, day out, come rain, come sunshine, is contemporary Christian music and rumba. Yeah, those two. But every now and then, every year usually has an addition of another genre of music beside those two. For a time, I really did have an appreciation for country music. That has gotten lost on me, though. And then last year, I really did listen to a lot of Coldplay. I don't know. It feels like I did discover Coldplay in 2024. So that's another fact about me. The other thing is I voraciously listen to podcasts. So much so that I think it has an effect on me reading. I don't read a lot these days, and I have resorted to audiobooks, in fact, as a way of consuming material. I think that about covers it for this first part of you knowing a bit more about me. So thank you so much for listening, and I really do hope that we can all continue to cultivate a practice of reflection. All right, thank you so much for hanging out with me as I have been telling you a bit more about myself. So let's make this a two-way conversation, okay? Wherever it is that you're listening, I would really like to hear from you. Maybe answer one question or two, or all of them. You can call me and tell me about these things. The phone number for the Wellness Junction podcast, the WhatsApp number, is left in the description box. You can send me an Instagram voice note, a WhatsApp voice note, or whatever it is they send on Facebook. What do they send on Facebook? I think Messenger has like an audio function. I would really love to hear from you answering one of these questions, telling me a weird fact about yourself and everything else that you want to share about this podcast or about anything really in the world. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Remember, friend, you are treasured here. I truly do treasure you and your time here on this podcast. And until I see you in the next one, stay weird. You're weird? Yeah, stay weird. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. The Wellness Junction podcast is a production of Pamoja community-based organization. It is supported by the Northwestern University Access to Health Project with production assistance from Studio Spain Media Group. Please take a moment to follow the Wellness Junction podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you're listening. To learn more about how Pamoja CBO has impacted young people's lives over the past 15 years, please visit our website at www.pamojapamoja.org or our social media pages that are linked in the show notes. I have been your host, Jordanna, and I can't wait to connect with you in the next one. Thank you for being here.